It was on this date 8 years ago. 5-year-old Haleigh Cummings was last seen alive at her Satsuma home.
She disappeared after her father's then-girlfriend says she put the child to bed. Joy is here now with a look back and some insight into why this has been such a difficult case to solve. Joy, Haleigh would be 13 this year.
Mary, Tom, she would be a teenager this year. Our crime and safety analyst says that even though this happened just 8 years ago, strides in technology like better GPS in cell phones and improvement in social services would have made a difference in this case. When news broke in the small Putnam County town of Satsuma, our entire area and the nation became focused on finding 5-year-old Haleigh Cummings, who was put to bed February 9th, 8 years ago, but vanished overnight. Investigators ultimately believed she's no longer alive.
There's something about unsolved child murder cases that just grabs our attention.
While murder was one of several scenarios detectives investigated, our crime and safety analyst Gil Smith says the evidence just wasn't there.
And without a body, it's just that much more difficult to charge someone with murder because there would be so much evidence with the body to make a determination as to when the person died and how she died.
Last year, this updated age progression photo was released of Haleigh at age 12. It was hard for Haleigh's great-grandmother to imagine when we showed her the photo for the first time.
Just wonder, is that really what she looks like, you know?
Meanwhile, the key players in the case have made their own headlines. Arrested after this undercover sting, Misty Crosland Cummings is currently in prison on drug charges. She was 17 years old when she was babysitting Haleigh that night. Her then-boyfriend, whom she later married, Ronald Cummings, is Haleigh's father. He is also serving time on drug charges. Haleigh's mother, Crystal Sheffield, also in and out of jail. But no matter how old the players and the case get, Gil says,
But on a cold case, the case is always open. If anyone has any other information that they could lead to the solving of this case, of course, they need to contact law enforcement.
Haleigh's younger brother was last known to be living in Baker County with their mother. And when we last spoke with Haleigh's great-grandmother a year ago, she said without indisputable proof, the family will always believe Haleigh is alive. And Tom, Mary, I remember this case vividly, just like you do. I was a journalist here in Jacksonville covering this story every day for almost a week there in Satsuma. And it was interesting. Back then, just as they do now, police say if anyone even has it as the smallest detail about this case and thinks it's no big deal, please say something, even though it's 8 years later.
They will look into that, and they did. They went through so many tips.
Sure did.
Of all the tragedies that make news, I think the disappearances of children touch people absolutely the most. With Haleigh Cummings, with Lonzie Barton, with Maddie Clifton, all these people who turn out, strangers, who go out and help look for a missing child because it just somehow reaches deep into our guts.
And you never forget about it.
Exactly.
You never, ever forget it.
Thank you, Joy.